Hi everyone, so for this video I'm going to talk to you about how to develop and build upon that beautiful continuous provision that you've already established. So in all likelihood you are at a point where you've established some kind of purposeful, meaningful, continuous or basic provision, whether that's because you're a term time setting and the children have just come back or are coming back to you, or you might be a whole wraparound year group but you're getting some new children coming to you because of the time of the year. And so you're probably thinking in the next few weeks, I need to adapt my provision and bring in some elements of enhancements. Now, you could be an interest-led setting or a topics-led setting or somewhere in the middle. So you might be enhancing based upon a particular theme or topic, something that you're trying to teach the children at the moment, or you might be tuning into the interests of these new children and thinking, how can I bring about some really purposeful learning in my provision based on their interests? I want to talk to all of you today about incorporating elements of schema play into your provision design, seeding or enhancing your provision based upon these behaviours that I think are often overlooked when it comes to designing or redesigning our provision. So I'm thinking at this time of the year, many of you will be following some element of probably a kind of all about me topic, some kind of thing where you're trying to find out as much as you can about the children. You might have a very specific, quite rigid all about me topic where we're doing self-portraits, talking about family, what food do you like, what colour do you like, how tall are you, how much do you weigh, going to town to find out about that child as much as possible. And even though you're trying to make it as clear as possible to the child that you're interested in their lives, what you're also trying to do as a teacher or a practitioner is you're trying to find out what you know about them, what you can find out about them, to bring that into your provision and your future learning. The topics themselves, I don't have a massive issue with because I understand the value of them. But when it comes to enhancements, usually those kinds of conversations lead on to things like drawing pictures of mum and dad, or having portraits in the home corner, or maybe even enriching the home corner with some kind of foods or baking equipment, things that link to the activities I do at home. But I'll be honest, I'm not seeing it done particularly well because there are just so many factors involved when it comes to that kind of topic. The same is true if you're interest-led and you're trying to tune into that child. Often you will hear something that you think, oh, amazing, it's a really good interest. I'll give you an example. This is a real example of a real child. A little boy called Toby. He was playing in the home corner with some Play-Doh and his practitioner was with him watching him. And now Toby took the Play-Doh and he flattened it down. He made it into a circle and he said, pizza. And then he got a fish slice and he picked up the pizza and he moved it around, put it on a plate, and then he took it away. And his practitioner thought, oh, amazing, we're an interest-led setting, I know where to go now. And so what she did is she sourced a telephone, she went through the sort of, we've all got them, the sort of garbage pile near your front door of those leaflets that you get through. She found a load of pizza menus, brought them in, and she took Toby into the home corner and said, listen, Toby, let's phone for pizza. I want to order a pizza. And she taught him in that moment the process of ordering a pizza. Now, interest-led planning tells us that's actually quite a good idea to do. And you know, Toby, bless his cotton socks, he went with it. He created the pizza, he served the pizza to his teacher, but as she stepped away, she recognised that he wasn't really using the telephone or the menus. What he was really interested in is creating this pizza and using the fish slice to move it around. I talked to her about how perhaps Toby is actually really interested in transporting. Let's watch really carefully here. What Toby's actually doing is he's finding the fish slice, he's very carefully lifting it up, and if you watch him, he's carefully working out how to transport his pizza around the space. In terms of Toby's interests, interest-led planning would tell us to follow through and think about a pizza shop, and that could be the idea he's got in his head that sparked this activity off. But what he's really interested in, the thing he's focused down on, is the transporting that pizza around. And so for her, I suggested, why don't we look at different ways that Toby might be able to engage in that transporting scheme? Such as, why don't we get out a big snow shovel? Why don't we get out some garden spades? Why don't we look at finding some spatulas and some unusual spoons? And she did. She brought those things into her provision in and out. And she found that actually Toby was really interested in this. He went outside, he got some mud out of the digging pit, he travelled very carefully over to the woodland kitchen, poured it into something and went back again. And so actually what she managed to do was to enhance or seed the provision with a range of different tools that link to his real interest. And that's why I'm saying to you as practitioners, if we just spend a little bit of time, step back and spend a bit of time thinking about what are the actual repeated behaviours here. Now, Toby was a reception age child at the beginning of his school year. Now, we know that scheme tend to disappear as children get a little bit older, they become more complex, and our very youngest of children, our babies in particular, don't tend to have many schemes. But for the vast majority of children in early years, they have schemes and we can tune into those. Some of them might be more complex than others, some of them might be more difficult to manage. For example, you might have a child who's demonstrating an awful lot of throwing trajectory scheme. If you've got children doing that, providing things like pipes, gutterings, slopes, tunnels, ways for things to travel in different ways would really support that child to develop that interest in trajectory. Maybe you've got children who are throwing things on the floor and actually what they're really interested in is either positioning or that sort of opposite of containing, in which case, great. Why don't we provide lots of big and small containers and ways for them to pour them into different things? So maybe you could put some trugs and buckets out for them to pour into things. Could we provide some jugs for them to put things in and pour out of? Could we provide some really wide hold sort of funnels? I'm thinking about like jam jar funnels. I'm not sure if you've seen those, but you can put them in a jam jar and you pour your jam in. I've got one in the basement because I love making jam. Those are really good because when children pour into them, they've got to be funneled through into the hole. And those are really good opportunities for children to really think about that positioning schema. And by tuning into those things, it may look a bit abstract. You may not be able to say on a piece of paper, okay, this child's interest is XYZ. But just saying, actually, this child's really interested in transporting, I've done all this, you are satisfying your need as an educator, but you're also providing wonderful opportunities for learning. And I'll promise you something else. The vast majority of your children in your setting will have a scheme that cross over with each other. You'll have children who will gravitate towards each other because they're interested in trajectory schema or positioning schema, or that might be really interested in something they've seen as a shared experience and that's generated some particular kind of scheme that they're really interested in. If you've got any more questions about this, do send me a message. I'm actually about to deliver some introduction to schema play training. I recently became an accredited trainer on schema play and it's blown my mind. It's taken me over a month to be able to tune it all in my brain because, do you know, when you have some information, it's just so overwhelming. If you're interested in that, I am going to run it in two different ways. One, for settings and individuals where I can come and do some coaching for people, but I'm also going to do it on Zoom where you can buy a ticket. I'm just waiting for some final permission on dates for that. So if you're interested, either watch out on my social media or drop me an email back and I'll add you to my waiting list. If you've got any more questions about this, do send me a message. This is just one of the ways that you can enhance or seed your provision as you move forward. I'm all about meeting the children where they're at, not about getting the children to meet us where we are at.